Welcome back to another episode of Let's Stay In.
I'm Anna, and this is Mark.
Now, before we get into today's episode, we got to give you that annoying reminder. Make sure you like, subscribe, download, comment. If there's a button, make sure you click it. Somehow, I think that helps us out.
With that being said, let's just jump right in. Thanks for being here. We're so happy that you came.
Me. I'm so excited.
Tell everybody what you were just doing.
I was just in lab. I was analyzing samples, and that was it. It wasn't...
Samples of what?
I was analyzing samples of ash.
Ash. Oh, okay. So the ash that we're breathing in currently in LA?
Yes. So I'm collecting swipes off the tops of cars, and that contains the settled particulate matter, and I'm now analyzing it. And then I've also taken tape samples to look at how the dispersion is on those cars.
Okay, I'm gonna want to get into
I was
this.
gonna say your IQ is like 75 notches higher than ours, so we gotta clarify.
I'm
that.
actually getting dumber as I listen to you, which that shouldn't be how that works.
You know, it's actually when you sent over some of the things that you were like, okay, we could talk about this, and this. I'm gonna be honest, there was several things on there that I was like,
I don't know what the word means.
Yeah, I'm going to have to Google that. I'm going to have to figure that out. So I feel like we got to start off the podcast with this. Can you give like a 30-second elevator pitch? Who are you? What are you all about? What do you know, because we obviously just jumped into you're obviously a medical student, but also get into all of your studies because you're not just a medical student. Like that is putting it lightly.
A PhD student,
not
medical.
Yeah.
See, I'm already getting the terminology screwed up.
Get it
okay,
right,
give me the proper 30-second elevator pitch.
Okay. Hi, my name's Emma Landskroner. I am 26 years old, and I'm an environmental health activist. I study emerging chemicals and examine them for possible carcinogenicity or toxicity. And I'm very active, free spirit.
Wait, give your education background.
Oh,
flex that shit.
Yeah, seriously.
All right.
I need you to flex that shit.
All right.
You should be so proud.
Okay, so went to Ithaca College in upstate New York, and I got my degree in community and public health with a minor in epidemiology and psychology. And then I went straight to Johns Hopkins during the midst of the pandemic and got my degree in it was a master's of public health and biology. And then I went straight from there to my PhD now at UCLA. It's an industrial hygiene program, but I'm doing all of the stuff I said before. Yeah, it's just studying exposures.
What was that like going to Johns Hopkins during like the explosion?
I was never there.
So it was all online.
It was all online, and I graduated early, so I just never got to go there.
Of course, you graduated early.
What was your ACT?
What the fuck?
Just
not
32?
good. I'm not. I'm not naturally smart.
It's out of 36, isn't it?
I'm not naturally smart. I just work really hard. Like it was bad. My ACT was. I remember.
What do you consider bad? 31.
I was also about to say.
It was
I feel like
lower than that.
People that are really smart often don't consider themselves smart.
Guys, I don't know. I truly think I just work super hard. And I followed this fake it till you make it. I think if you put it out there, you sort of fake it. Like I'm faking it. I'm smart, and now I've gotten here. Like I really don't feel like, I feel like I keep telling myself, like, you are this smart. Like you just got to pretend you're this smart, portray yourself as somebody who knows what they're talking about, even though you feel imposter syndrome constantly all the time. People will perceive you as somebody who is intelligent, and clearly it's working. I've tricked both of you.
Well, I was about to ask, have you done any research on imposter syndrome? Because
no,
that's what
but
this is
I would love
like.
to. I would love to. No, I have it all the time, though, all the time, constantly.
Yes, you're doubting your capabilities, but you're clearly very intelligent. You wouldn't be in the situation, or I don't think you would even have the interest if you weren't.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I'm intrigued by this kind of stuff, science, biology, probably because, I mean, maybe.
I think intrigue often suggests intelligence, though. I don't think you seek
curiosity
out an answer.
for sure.
Curiosity is a natural side of intelligence.
Yeah,
so.
I agree.
So what made you interested in this specific medical field?
So I originally was interested in epi, and I was focusing on neglected tropical diseases, and I worked at UCSF, and I did stuff with trachoma, which is an infection of the eye. It's really prevalent in Ethiopia. And I was going in that direction. And then my dad was diagnosed with cancer my senior year of undergraduate. And so that sort of just pivoted my whole trajectory. Everything I was doing was like, I was researching on my own, like cures. I was obsessing. I would stay up all night, like looking for different things I could possibly do to help out in any way. And from that point forward, I was like, okay, I'll get into biology. So then that's why I went into my master's and focused on biology, and then pivoted to exposures and carcinogenic risk.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm very curious about your draw to tropical disease.
Yeah.
Neglected tropical
disease. Yeah, that's very specific.
I think they're just fascinating, the way that they pass on and pass through. And also they affect people who are typically impoverished and don't have the means to actually treat them properly. And so they flourish in these environments. And so I think that the environmental justice portion of that is what really drew me to tropical diseases. And then trachoma specifically just fell into my lap because that was the project they were already working on at UCSF.
Yeah. Do you find that those diseases are easily preventable if they had proper resources and education?
Oh my gosh, yes.
That's very frustrating.
And it's so frustrating. Yeah. So the infrastructure that they need is stuff that we have here, and we are just,
spoiled.
We're spoiled. Yeah, we're focusing on treating our people ourselves, which I think is important too. But I mean, if you have the means, you should be spreading the means. You should be taking care of those other people too.
Do you find yourself getting frustrated considering how spoiled we are with Western medicine when you had that focus in what was the word? Forgotten? Neglected tropical disease, and how easy it is to take that for granted. Like, I feel like I would get frustrated with, there is such an uproar with our medical field, or our relationship with the medical field today, for good reason as well. But then we have these basics that so few countries have. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that we take it for granted what other places don't have at easily accessible.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think we take everything for granted here, especially when you see what those other people are facing. So the way they tried to treat trachoma in Ethiopia, I think people sent over a bunch of antibiotics, and then it became resistant to the antibiotics. So they didn't do any of the other measures that they should have taken, like sanitation, all these other things that are infrastructural that cost a lot of money. They just were like, here's some antibiotics. And so then the disease, it developed resistance towards antibiotics, and now you have to figure out another way to treat it. But yeah, there was some help. It's just the help they gave wasn't enough.
God, I have so many questions off that, but I feel like here's where I feel like we should start. So because you talked about your dad, obviously, and you talked about how once your dad was diagnosed with cancer, that you started doing research and trying to figure out, like, is there a way that I can help, right? Have you always, I guess, been like that naturally curious of a person? And then I guess that kind of also goes into when you were saying earlier, like, you don't feel like you're, I don't know, like, that much smarter than everybody else, but it's like also that natural curiosity drives you to do the research that other people won't, right? So have you always had that kind of curiosity, or where do you think that came from?
Yeah, I've always had it, and I think that caused me a lot of trouble growing up. I mean, I always was getting into things that I probably shouldn't have been getting into because I was just curious about it. And I think it caused me problems when I was younger, but now it's just, it feeds my desire to just keep learning. I joke with my friends that I never want to stop going to school. Like, I could see myself going to school forever. Like, I would go to medical school after this because I love learning so much. But I did not love learning because I didn't like the topics they were teaching when I was in, like, high school. I was curious about other things that weren't, like, the standard topics. But because I wasn't interested in those topics, I just didn't care as much.
And then how did that curiosity kind of change, obviously, as you talk about your father? And obviously I want to say, like, whatever you want to talk about with your father, because obviously I know that's a deeply personal situation.
Open book, yeah. So, I mean, when it becomes so personal, it's like supersedes curiosity. It becomes like, I have to fix this. So it became sort of an obsession. Like, it was going online, searching through PubMed database for keywords that involved neuroendocrine carcinoma, which is a type of cancer he had, poorly differentiated cell type. It's really specific.
Wait, can you explain
Will
that?
you say that again, actually? I'm sorry.
Neuroendocrine carcinoma, and it's poorly differentiated cell type. So there's well differentiated, there's poor differentiated. And the poor differentiated is really hard to treat because the cells are constantly changing. They're never stable. And well differentiated is a little bit easier to treat. And it was in his pancreas. So they consider it pancreatic cancer. It's, people are like, you have lung cancer, you have pancreatic cancer. That's just based on where they found the cancer cells to begin with. So he had pancreatic neuroendocrine. And he was diagnosed, and I just became obsessed with it. It was far greater than any curiosity. It was like, I need to save this person that I love. And I made him do so many things that he hated. I made him like only eat healthy food. I made him like eat black seeds, which is like supposed to be really good for your body. All of these things that he just hated. He was all about quality of life. He wanted to eat his, like, when he did have an appetite, he was like, I want to eat cheeseburgers. I want to eat like the crappiest food. And I would get so mad at him, and looking back, I'm like, oh, I wish I wasn't that way, because I understand now the quality of life. There's like it's hard to separate being selfish and wanting to have this person you love live forever, and then also balancing like if he has only a certain amount of time remaining, he needs to like enjoy that time or make the best of it.
On a personal level, I guess, like, how did you deal with that? Because you were already in the medical field when your father was diagnosed, right? And so then there is that natural, again, like, curiosity of you of like, I want to try to find the solution for my father, right? But then also kind of dealing with, and I don't know what the best way to articulate this, but also knowing that you also want to enjoy the most amount of time that you have with him, right? Mm-hmm. And so kind of trying to find that balance of like, I don't want to act like there's a countdown per se. Yeah. Like, I want to save him, but also at the same time, I also want to enjoy these moments with him in case there is that countdown, I guess. And again, I don't know if that's the proper way to word it. It's a tough situation to word.
Yeah. So the pandemic, horrible situation, it worked in my favor because all of my siblings spread across the country at college and school all got to be home with my dad, like right as he was diagnosed. There was a period of time where I was driving back from Ithaca, New York, every weekend to Cleveland just to be back with him. And I wouldn't see my friends. I would just go straight on Thursday. I worked it out with my teachers and leave and then come back Tuesday just to have time with him. And then the pandemic hit, and then we all were just in one house together. And that was fantastic. I mean, like, that was just time that I'm so grateful that I had. I know he wished he could have been traveling the world, and like he hated wearing masks and all of this, but like it worked in my family's favor just being able to spend that time with him.
How has your relationship with time changed?
It moves faster. Mm-hmm. I feel like it moves faster as we get older, just in general. Like, I feel like every day I'm like, I wake up and then it's nighttime and I'm like, where the hell did the day go? And also, I was not productive enough. That's something I deal with all the time. But I think time is so much more valuable. Like, any moment I have with my mom or my grandparents or my siblings or my best friends, I think I appreciate that time maybe more than somebody who hasn't experienced a loss so personal.
How does that, I guess, like, moving forward, how conscious of that are you today? Like, when you're hanging out with friends and like you're kind of, having an incredible moment, or even a day where you're having like a tough day, like how does your relationship with time kind of play out now?
When I'm with people I love, I'm so vocal about it. I feel like I never said like I love you enough, or there's all these words that you wish you would have said out loud to the people you care about. And now I'm like, if me and my friends are hanging out and I'm just feeling like this is a great time, like I will remember this moment forever, I will tell them. I'll be like, guys, I want to say, like, I love you and this is amazing and thank you for being my friend. And like, I just say things like that. Whereas before I definitely wouldn't. And they're like, okay, like, we love you too. And then I just feel like I have a different perspective on time. Also, the things that used to like make me angry don't make me angry anymore because you have a bigger perspective of what's important. And I have this problem where people, sometimes my friends will complain to me about like little things that are so real to them, and they are real. But because I have this different perspective where I'm like, well, at least nobody's dying. At least I'm like, I sometimes struggle with empathy, I think, because of that whole situation. Because, you know, my friend will be complaining about like her hair doesn't look great today, and like it's really upsetting her. And I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, well, at least nobody's dead. But that's something I'm working on. That's something I can go into therapy for, because I want to be there for my friends and I want to be empathetic. It's just the trauma that I've witnessed has caused me some issues in that regard.
Is that a matter of empathy? Or is that a matter, like, I feel like that's just grand perspective. I feel like, I mean, I guess everyone in a scale is...
It's a scale.
It's a spectrum of pain, and it's whatever true to what you've experienced.
Yeah.
But I feel like that is also very beneficial to be around somebody that knows what it's like to be on that opposite side of that scale from a bad hair day.
Yeah, and I'm sure the moments that I have reminded them where I've been like, hey, like, you know, that's not a big deal. They appreciate that. They appreciate that grand scale that I sort of bring to the table. But I do think it has to do with empathy, though, also. Because there's just so many situations where I'm like, I know that's a big deal to that person in that moment, but I'm not feeling upset about it for them like how I would prior to my dad passing.
I'm happy to bring this up because this is something I have been struggling with, is my dismissiveness.
Mm-hmm. That's the
and
word,
I didn't, I never really put it into, I realize that I often dismiss other people's troubles because I'm like, God, like in the grand scheme of things, like this is what you're dwelling on. Like at least no one is passing, no one's sick. You're able to even look into that person's eyes and like have the opportunity to work it out. So like I'd never even considered that could be a matter of empathy. It's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. The word, dismissive is spot on.
Yeah.
I like don't want to be that way.
I'm like, get a grip.
I know, that's exactly how
it's not that deep. Get a grip, move on. But yeah.
You know, have you guys read the book The Giver?
Of course.
But have you read it recently?
I read it in like 5th grade.
Yeah.
Great book.
The Giver, no.
Also, you should read the whole quartet. So it's actually a quartet. And I could not recommend that book series more to anybody. But the whole, if you go back and read it, I think it hits different when you're, you know, I'm 32 and I read it probably once a year, if I'm being honest. And the reason why I do is because the whole premise of it is that there's this man, the giver, who knows everything about the world, right? He knows pain, he knows love, he knows every emotion, he knows everything that's happened, right? And then he has to now pass that on to this boy whose job is to be the next giver, right? And so when this kid who has kind of grown up in this black and white world now all of a sudden is given all of this color of life, he struggles to accept it, and he basically ends up, if I remember I want to make sure I get the story right. If I remember correctly, essentially he ends up essentially running away, which ends up giving the color back to everybody. And so everybody starts to learn pain. Everybody starts to learn happiness. They learn sadness. They learn anxiousness. They learn love. They learn all these different emotions, and it all kind of hits them at once that there's more to life than just kind of this black and white that we live with. And so I feel like with you, it's like in a way, how old are you? You're 26? You've seen so much life at 26, and you've also learned about so many things, right? How many people at 26 years old have studied neglected tropical diseases, right? And so you've been able to see what life is like for people in this region of the world that most people have never even thought about, right? And ways that they could have prevented certain diseases, that they had access to certain things that we have access to in America. So you have that perspective, right? You have the perspective of finding out that your father has terminal cancer and dealing with that, and dealing with going to school and trying to still manage that while also still trying to try to do what research you can to try to help your dad, right? And at the same time, now you've lost your father, and now you are trying to go about life and have, you have this like kind of perspective of, well, how can you complain about X, Y, and Z because life is still in the grand scheme of things so great. You still have blank, something that I may not have, right? Mm-hmm. And so I feel like so much more and you have so much more of like a worldly view than most people do at 26. And so I feel like if anything, your friends over time will be so grateful to have that perspective from you. And that's where I would say, I don't think you have a lack of empathy. I think you have an abundance of knowledge. And I think a lot of people, honestly, I think like true understanding of the world and understanding of the ups and downs of the world didn't really hit me until I was like 30, maybe. I'm 32 now. And I think the more that you understand kind of like how life can like roller coaster, the more it makes you appreciate every day, right? And you understand the roller coaster. And I think a lot of people haven't experienced that yet. And so again, having you to be there for them when they do experience life's roller coaster, I think is gonna be a really helpful thing.
Oh yeah. I hope I'm able to help my friends. Fingers crossed.
I hope I can help them. That sounded so dim.
You had such a beautiful thing to say, and that's
Listen,
that was so well said.
I'm telling you guys, read The Giver. Read The Giver. I
love you saying you've read The Giver every year and then being like, I hope I get this right.
Well, because I try to. My whole thing is every time I read a book, I try to not like. I want to live in the moment and embrace it and kind of like take whatever like overarching message from it. But then I also want to forget the story because I want to reread it again and feel the same like love that I had for it again. So like the Harry Potter books, I've read like 50,000 times, but every time somebody asks me a Harry Potter trivia question, I almost always get it wrong. And it's because I want to literally enjoy it in that moment, take whatever knowledge or experience or whatever emotion from it, and then I want to forget it and like be able to read it again and feel that same way that I did when I was 12 years old reading it for the first time.
You mentioned black seeds.
Okay, fine. Just
wow,
abrupt.
That shows my
I'll go
my
fuck
social
myself.
awareness.
Yeah.
No, that's a social awareness thing. I'm like, I'm done with hearing about this. Black seeds. So what I hear is that
are we saying black seeds or flax seed?
Black seed.
Black. Okay.
Yeah, it's in a lot of Indian cuisine.
Okay, cool.
So what I hear is that you have an acceptance for Eastern medicine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I want to hear your opinion of how those two can coexist, the Eastern and Western. I feel like a lot just embrace the one technical of the Western and then some Eastern. I personally think as someone that's not in the field, they should coexist and they can help each other. What is your opinion as someone that's in the field?
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think your mind is so powerful. I actually gave my dad a book about the power of believing and healing yourself, because if you truly believe that your cells will heal themselves, there's studies that have shown that you will begin to get better. So I think the integration of both types is really important, and we don't do that here, and I wish we did. I think people think it's like woo-woo science, but it's not. They've been doing it over there for centuries, thousands of years, and it works for them. And if we just integrated the advancements of science that we have with that, I think there would be substantial improvement in public health.
What are, off the top of your head, some easy to grab remedies that we could get from a homeopathic store or an Eastern medicine doctor that could improve our day-to-day lives?
That's such a good question. I think I actually don't even do this. I feel like I don't even implement it enough in my daily life.
Oh, you're just a bit busy.
I'm just a bit busy.
You're currently, she texted me the other day, I'm currently growing lung cells.
Oh, same. That's so weird you say that. Same.
Casual. I'm betting football games, and she's over here growing a lung cell.
It's so funny. So CBD I've been using a lot. I don't know actually how well it even helps, but the thing is placebo effect. That is the most powerful thing. If you think it'll work, it'll probably work. So, yeah, CBD, I do a lot of that, and black seed. Those are like my two primary. Trying to think of what else.
What are you taking the black seed for?
Just cellular health.
Okay. Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
What about inflammation? I feel like inflammation contributes to the majority of diseases, whether it be mental or physical. And I'm curious about if you have any feedback or suggestions on how to manage inflammation.
Not yet. I just actually did order a biohacking kit. So I'm going to give all my samples, my spit, my all of it.
All of the things.
All of the things.
All of the things.
Like all of the things?
Don't say that. Don't list it.
it's exactly what you're thinking it is.
Like a stool sample?
Yeah.
Stool. That's the proper term. I was about to say piss and shit.
I was about to say little poopy, little pee-pee.
Yeah.
They're going to examine all of that, and then I'll be able to know what is causing inflammation. Because I have, like, cystic acne. I have, like, I know there's something going on in my body, and it's caused by inflammation. So I want to know what's causing that. So I'll let you know what they say, and if there's any. I think they're supposed to give you recommendations of what you're supposed to take, and like it's curated based on what it's called Biome.
Oh yeah. I've heard of that.
Okay, yeah, I just ordered
We'll have you for a part 2 then, because I feel like inflammation is a huge hot topic that we need to cover more.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could also dive into acne anytime too. I was on Accutane for 6 years.
I was 6 years. Yeah. That's wild.
Well, not obviously not like straight for 6 years.
Yeah.
But I was on it 3 different times, and each time the second time was longer and a higher dosage, and so it just was whooping my ass by around 3.
Your skin looks beautiful.
Well, thank you. It's been 9 years since I've last taken it. But
I just did it last year for 6 months, and then it made my skin worse. It's worse right now than it was before, and now I don't want to go back on it because the side effects are insane.
Oh yeah,
my lips were so chapped.
My
skin was so dry.
Your ears ever bleed?
No, what?
The crack on your ears, like where your ear separates from your head, would just bleed.
I don't know. Is that a normal?
Oh yeah. Well, mind you,
nosebleeds. I would get
nosebleeds. Yeah, for sure. People just thought I was a cokehead because I would just get nosebleeds, and I'm like, yeah. And I'm also high energy, so people would just be like, that guy does coke, and I'm like, nope, just on Accutane, brother.
You should try spironolactone.
I'm on that. I've been on that since high school. I actually didn't even have acne in high school, but I was on it. I don't remember why they put me on it, but
it's a diuretic.
Maybe I don't know. Yeah, but I've been on it, and then I was off of it in college, and then I went back on it, and now I'm back on it, and I'm trying AviClear, which is a laser that shrinks your sebaceous glands.
Yeah.
And it's an alternative to Accutane that doesn't have any. I just did one yesterday. You're just supposed to do 3 sessions, and it's supposed to work like Accutane, sort of. But we'll see.
I mean, it's always interesting. I mean, I think trying to evolve yourself and trying to help yourself is like just an important thing. I think everybody should try to do it, right? Like everybody should try to learn more about their body and what is, because I guess my question for you would be, I feel like people try to look at the medical field a lot of times as black and white, right? Mm-hmm. If you're talking about acne, somebody's like, well, like I remember one time I was telling somebody I had acne and they were like, have you ever tried Proactive? And I wanted to punch them in the throat, because I'm just like, do you really think that if I've been battling with acne for 6 years or 7 years at that period of time that I hadn't tried everything and that I hadn't researched everything? But I feel like a lot of times that's how people look at the medical field. Everything is black and white. If you have anxiety, your remedy is this. If you have weight gain, your remedy is this. If you have this, your remedy is this. If you have this, your remedy is this. And that if it's not that, well, you're fucked, basically. And I feel like the medical field in itself is there's so much gray area. Like everybody's different. Our environment is different. Our like just different genetics,
environmental exposure,
everything.
All of this is stuff that is going to feed into how your body reacts.
Right. Your history with eating, even.
Yeah.
I will never forget going to a doctor, because my experience has always been antidepressants, birth control. I feel like that's what every single woman, those are the 2 suggestions you get for any ailment that you might have going into the doctor. And I had a male doctor ask me for the first time, what is your history like with eating? And I couldn't believe it, because I was like, oh, it's horrible. And he was like, well, have you ever had your insulin measured? Have you metabolic panel? Any of the things that would measure the function of your body because of the treatment in the past. And I thought that was irrelevant, because my so-called relationship with it is better now. And then I got to the root of the problem because of someone asking about something that I thought was completely unrelated. Yeah. So that gray area is where you get the answers.
Yeah, everything, it's like twine. It's all interconnected, everything. They do always say birth control and antidepressants.
What do you think of that?
We get 2 medicine options.
Because I feel like we've talked about it. Like, it is insane how I'm around a ton of women, obviously, with the podcast and photo shoots and things like that all the time. And I'm around men all the time for like working in crypto and all of that. And so I know so many women that are on antidepressants, anti-anxiety medication, things like that. And then I know literally 0 guys. And I'm like, I can't figure out if there's an overprescription on one side or an underprescription on the other, or a mix of both. Like, what are your thoughts?
I think the stigma of men not feeling comfortable talking about their issues means they're getting underdiagnosed and they're not being prescribed medication. And then I think, women are vocal about the issues they're facing. And those are the only two options that we get, which, by the way, me too. Those are the things that I'm on.
No, same. SSRI club right here.
Oh, yeah. Fluoxetine, baby, all day.
Same. Oh, my God. 30 milligrams.
Oh, I think I'm 50, but like...
Okay, I want to up my dose, so that's so interesting.
I just
love
upped
that
my
you say
dose.
that. Oh, my God. Twins. We must have a lot of the same issues. We'll dive into that.
Yes.
Because there's actually something that you mentioned that I was like, oh, sister, okay, we're going to have something in common. But I love that you said that about the lack of vocalization from men when it comes to their mental health, because I do hear that from men a lot where they're like, why is every girl on an antidepressant and no guys are? First of all, that guy might not feel comfortable telling you that. It's very hard. It's hard for a lot of women to be vocal about that. That's why I'm incredibly vocal about it, because there's no shame if you need any sort of assistance. Yeah. But there's also, not to get dark, there is a reason that there is a massive jump in suicidality in men and women. Yeah. And there's a reason that the female rate is lower. There's also a demand and performance from females where women, as mothers, as wives, they're caretakers, whatever. Their duties cannot be smothered or diminished by mental health struggle. And I feel like there is more allowance and lack of patience when it comes to the female underperformance due to that versus men. And I feel like men are allowed the option of wallowing more than women just around the house. So I feel like women have to be more proactive when it comes to seeking out treatment for whatever they're suffering from. Yeah,
we can't spend a day like soaking in our depression in bed. Like that's time that should be we have kids, we have, there's so many things. We're spread so thin and you have to be doing something always. Yeah. Whereas maybe it's like a little bit okay for a guy to just spend all day in bed. Sorry if that's...
No, there is. I mean, there is that double standard where I feel like men are able to get that day off at the golf course, sit in front of the TV watching sports. I think there's a lot of signs of, and I know this is a conversation for another time, there are a lot of undetectable signs of depression in men that are deemed normal hobbies. And a lot of it could be a form of distraction, or, I mean, quite literally sitting on the couch all day watching sports. You could just think your guy is having a normal day. That's like a normal hobby. But that could also be a sign of something else. And then we don't ask and we don't know, and they don't know because they don't have the education to know, do I feel capable of getting off the couch, or do I just want to stay and do this?
I think that's because a lot of male hobbies are normal to a certain level, and then there's guys that go to the extreme, and usually when there's an extreme, it's because there's a massive problem. For example, I mean, like, I like to gamble. I'll put, $100 on a football game here and there, whatever. I also know people who have insane gambling addictions and are in debt, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, and now are chasing that money, trying to make that money back. And usually that comes from some lack of, a lack of control, some sort of depression. And then they take the, obviously now massive gambling debt is adding to that depression, right? And now they're trying to overcome that. They're basically living a double life because the people around them don't know how bad it is. Yeah. And so I feel like, and then you could also take that same approach with drinking, right? Like, there's always that guy that like, oh, hey, that's Billy, the fun drunk. And it's like, Billy has a drinking problem, and it's because he has crippling anxiety and depression, but no one wants to talk about that. So we're just going to say Billy's the fun guy, right? Yeah. And so I think there's a lot of like, a guy who goes and gets a beer every once in a while is not the guy you have to worry about, but the guy who's slugging 20 of them every single Saturday, like, you might want to check in on, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, maybe stop cheering him on, calling him like the fun guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Ask him if he's okay.
Right. So I guess on your end, I don't know. I mean, like, how do you? I feel like because you're such a naturally curious person, are you just looking into like all these different things then at all times, basically?
Yeah, I have ADD too, so I'm just like constantly like looking up information all the time. If somebody like has something to say and then I have a question about it, I'll look it up. I'll ask. I spent a whole car ride. We were going to Mammoth like 2 weeks ago, and the whole car ride was me asking questions. And I didn't realize I was even doing it until somebody had pointed it out. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I had no idea.
I love you. I love an interrogation.
Like, I don't even know I'm doing it. But yeah, I want to know everything, always.
Okay, so can I get like, we can cut this out if you don't want this, but no, because I'm incredibly nosy. So since we're on the same medication, and then I assume we kind of have the same brand problems, of maybe certain same problems. Yeah. But then you mentioned the Orthorexia Nervosa.
Yeah.
So do you...
Wait, can you explain what that is for people who don't know?
Will you explain what that is first and foremost?
So it's excessive working out and restriction of your diet, basically. And I had it really prevalently in high school and then a little bit in college, and now I'm in recovery. I eat normal, but I would just go to soccer practice for 2 hours, come home, go on the treadmill for an hour, do abs for 30 minutes, get in bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then have to wake up early to do my schoolwork, or just not do it at all and go in and be, get in trouble for not doing my schoolwork.
I think there's a lack of recognition, or at least like the severity isn't recognized because it just looks like you have a healthy lifestyle. I
got cheered on. I remember when I first started showing symptoms, my dad was like proud of me, and he would go and tell his friend, he's like, my daughter's so healthy, she works out all the time. My mom knew, because woman intuition, she was like, something's wrong. Yeah. And she immediately reached out to a doctor, and the doctor brushed me off. They were like, no, that's just a healthy girl. She cares about her well-being. And like 2 years later, I finally got diagnosed, and my mom was like, I knew it this whole time. A mother's intuition, a woman's intuition. And my dad was like, oh, like, shit, you were right, So yeah, it's crazy. It was tiring. I had to sit out of soccer practice because my heart rate was so low. The doctor described it as my heart was like eating itself because I didn't have enough fat on my body. I didn't have enough energy. I wasn't eating carbs. It was really tiring. It was exhausting.
Do you struggle with control, and do you feel like your need for research is contributed to by control? Like the more you know.
I love control for sure. I acknowledge that too. I think also I have OCD, which is part of the reason. So like it's overlapping. All of these issues are overlapping, but the OCD had to do with like working out, like I had to get a certain mileage in if I was running, all of those things. And like now I think my OCD shows in a different way. And that probably has to do with like, I need to get this paper done. It's more beneficial. It's still exhausting.
It morphs too. OCD picks a subtype and attaches to it. It's ever changing. It never stays consistent for the most part.
Yeah. So medication has helped though. It's a lot more under control. But, orthorexia it took over my life, like all of high school. My friends, it's so funny. I came home from college after I had like recovered, and my friends had never seen me eat a pizza. They would like make jokes about it. Like it was like we had to make light of it. Like my friends knew me as the girl who like had problems, and I was like, yep, that's me. And I came home and like ate a pizza in front of them, and their jaws dropped. They're like, what the hell? Yeah. Like, you eat pizza now? And I'm like, yeah, I do. I remember taking a video and sending it to my dad. Like, it was just a proud moment when I was able to eat something that actually tasted so good.
I was going to say that pizza had to hit.
It hit so good. And now I have such a deep appreciation for good food, like cheese, wine. Like, I'm a foodie now because I didn't get to enjoy it when I was younger.
I love that you have you had pride in that instead of fear. That's like such a cool thing, because I know that like that jump can be
hard. Yeah, really hard. Because there is that weird transition where you're like embarrassed to tell people. I remember going through that because it's maybe it goes to the OCD, but like you were known as that girl who's super healthy who didn't eat. Like
it's your identity.
Yeah, it's your identity. And so I remember like a little period of time where I was just like kind of embarrassed, even though I should have been proud. And then I finally. It was causing me more problems than anything else, and I was just like, let's break that barrier. And then I told my friends and told my parents, and it's been great ever since. I've had no problems since.
I had to like get over this thing that I did not realize was a symptom of OCD, and I didn't realize that the orthorexia, they kind of go hand in hand. Yeah. I not used to. I still do this, but like I try not to now, is I would always just eat soft foods. So if it was in the form of like a liquid or a yogurt, like it didn't require chewing, that can't make me fat.
Yeah.
So, but everybody around me was like, oh, like she has stomach problems or she's on the go and it's easy to digest or it's like whatever. It's just what she has. And really for me, it was a form of control of like, if it's one of my safe foods, then I don't have to feel guilty tonight.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. The irrational mindset of somebody who has an eating disorder is so crazy.
Yeah.
Because like, yeah, to think that any food, if it's liquid, it's not going to make you fat. Like,
some of the worst are liquids.
Some of the worst are liquids.
Let me tell you about milk.
A Frappuccino from Starbucks, 900 calories.
Some of the worst are liquids. So like I would do the same exact thing. Like I wouldn't eat any fats. Nuts, I was like, I know nuts are high in fat. I'm not eating that. Fat is associated with, it's a bad word. It's an unsafe word. Yeah. So I'm like, no, that's a no. That's not a safe food.
Yeah.
And that caused health problems. And I sort of I went to an eating disorder person for a few months and saw them, and they helped a little, but I really feel like I did most of the work on my own. I feel like you have to be ready to make that change to actually have that change. If somebody's telling you you're going to die early, like you're not healthy, this is going to affect you for the rest of your life. Like, I'm not listening until I'm ready to listen.
It doesn't matter to somebody that has that disorder unless they're ready.
Yeah.
And you have to embrace the changes that come with that change. Like, you have to accept that your body might not look like it did when you were unhealthy. And that's okay. And that's welcomed.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, I love my body more now. I feel like now that I'm healthy, just because I'm not as stressed about what I'm eating all the time.
Yeah. It's very liberating when you have food noise.
It's so freeing. It's so freeing.
Well, so here's my question for you. I feel like there's a lot of times where people look at somebody, maybe it's somebody they've been friends with for a long time, maybe it's somebody that they're dating and things like that, and they look at them and they know something's up, right? Mm-hmm. What advice would you give somebody in that situation? Like, is there a proper way to word the worry, or do you wait until that person is ready to embrace the fact that there may be a problem there? Or because also obviously if you bring up, hey, I think you may have a problem with X, Y, and Z, you run the risk of that person being very mad.
I would get so mad when anybody would try to help me. I remember getting triggered by people who would try to help. And it goes the same for like toxic relationships. Somebody's coming up to you and being like, you're in a toxic relationship. Do you need help? And you're like in denial. And and it goes, it's the same thing with eating disorders. Anytime anyone's confronting you, and usually for your betterment, and you're not ready to change, it's going to piss you off. I don't know what the right way is.
There is no right way.
There is no right way.
Yeah.
I guess just express your concern, but don't be overbearing about it. Maybe. For me, I was just difficult to deal with because I would get mad at anybody who would tell me I was in the wrong or I wasn't doing the right thing.
Yeah, fair. It goes back to there's no black and white answer on a lot of this stuff. There's so much gray area, and that's life in itself.
Yeah. I think you could look at the source though. So like, I think if without addressing it head on, so like, I don't think there's any way of properly looking at someone being like, I think you have an issue. I think you can get to know that person. If you feel comfortable or that you would have a conversation like that, then you probably know them well enough to know where some of their issues are rooted in. So like, for example, if you wanted to go to her about her eating issues, you could say, okay, they have an issue with control. They don't feel like they deserve to eat X, Y, and Z. They feel out of control. I think going to them as a friend and being like, I hope you know that like, it's almost like giving permission. I don't know if this is appropriate, but like for me, I like revel in my discipline with food. Like I'm almost proud that I can say no or that I can do certain things. And that's incredibly unhealthy. And it means so much to me when someone is like, treat yourself, go for it. Like there's no reason to feel guilty. You worked so hard today. Like, which is like, I guess what I'm saying is I'm feeding into something so unhealthy where it is ultimately just like stating that food is a reward. So don't listen to me. But I think, but what I'm trying to say is addressing the root of the problem, because eating disorders don't just happen because you want to be skinny. Yeah. So addressing the root of the problem versus the like symptoms of that issue.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. And that goes along the lines of everything we've been talking about, like acne and all this stuff. Like just go to the root of the problem, figure out what's causing it. And I feel like I needed to go to therapy to really figure out what the root of me being unsatisfied with my body and not being happy about my fitness level. I needed to go get help to identify those things. And that probably played a huge role in me being able to get over it at all.
It's amazing you got through it.
What did you realize from therapy?
I realized that I was a control freak. I mean, it's obvious now looking back, but I didn't know it then. and that I'm so stubborn to a fault, and that can be self-sabotaging a lot of the times. Those are the two major things I learned when I was in therapy for my eating disorder.
So once you realize those things, I guess, like, what do you do to like work on those things?
I don't even remember what I did. I don't remember what I did. I think just the identifying of those things to begin with made a huge difference for me, because I wasn't even aware that I was stubborn or that I was a control freak. I thought I was like a chill girl. I thought I was cool chill girl, and I was not cool chill girl.
I relate to that so much. I love that. Easy breezy.
Yeah, I'm so chill. Like,
doctor's like, you're a control freak.
Yeah,
No, I'm a chill girl.
Easy breezy.
Yeah. You're like, listen, I'm going to tell you exactly what the fuck I am. I am a chill girl.
I'm going to tell you what you think of me.
I like usually wear a bunch of rings on my fingers, and me and my friends have a joke. We're like, look at all my cool rings. I'm so chill. I'm a very cool, relaxed girl. Look at this shirt I'm wearing. You
have a race car on it.
Yeah, that's so chill.
That's so sick.
It's so like cool.
Yeah. What's your birthday?
August 13th, 1998.
Okay. August 13th, Leo. I don't know. Every time I see any commonality, I'm like, must be we have the same birthday. It's like, shut up on it.
You know, but you're due at some point to have the exact same birthday as somebody we have on the pod.
I know. When is that going to happen?
Well, yeah, 1 in 365 chance, killer.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah.
That is so true. I've only met one other person on my birthday. I thought it was going to be you.
What is yours?
May 11.
Okay. I don't know anybody with a May 11. You're my first.
Damn. Thanks. Cool.
Special.
Okay, so what I feel like, you know, obviously people talk about health related things on a regular basis, right? And you go on TikTok, you go on Instagram, everybody and their brother is giving out health advice, right?
Yeah.
What do you think is the most overrated health advice, and what do you think is the most underrated health advice?
Overrated. Wait, can you specify? Can we get into? That's so general.
I know it is. I know it is. Yeah. Maybe we get into. What do we think?
I just feel like what is something that you would implement immediately into your life to take care of yourself? Like, I feel like walking is such a thing right now. Like, people are like, if you want to better your life, add years to your life, walk everywhere. So something like that.
Good sleep is so important, and I don't get it. I always feel like I'm a hypocrite because I give a lot of advice based on science and things that I've seen and read that I don't actually implement for myself, but I want people I love and care about to do. So 8 hours of sleep, consistent time you go to sleep, consistent time you wake up. Consistency is key. And
Have you read the book Why We Sleep?
No.
Oh,
you send me a list of.
Send your book list.
We have the same taste in books. We identify. Yeah. So just send it my way.
Why We Sleep is, I will give that book credit so much to why I live my life the way I live my life. Because I had this problem of when I was a photographer full time, I used to go back to Michigan and I would do these trips where I would be at a hotel in Michigan and I would do 40 photo shoots over the course of 10 days, right? And so that meant certain days I was doing 6 or 7 shoots in a day. That meant some days I was doing 1 or 2. And so I not only had to juggle all the scheduling of all of that, people showing up late, people needing to reschedule, needing to do this. I also had to then be creative with 40 different people, right? Mm-hmm. 40 different wants, 40 different needs, 40 different ways that you have to shoot those people or, you know, converse with those people, things like that. By the end of the week, I would be so burnt out that I would barely be able to communicate with them, let alone like communicate with my friends or anything like that. I was absolutely burnt out. The photos would suck at the end. And one day, one of my buddies said to me, he's like, have you ever read the book Why We Sleep? And I was like, no. And he's like, well, do you think you get good sleep? And I was like, yeah, I get 7 to 8 hours every single night. And he's like, but is it good quality sleep? And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, well, do you wake up, your covers are all over the place, you know, your blankets are all over the place? And I'm like, well, yeah, for sure. Like, but doesn't everybody? And he's like, no, not everybody. And he's like, you're not getting good quality sleep. You're getting good length, but not good quality. And so I read the book Why We Sleep, and it talks about all these different things that you should be doing for your sleep to just be elite, basically. And a lot of it was, like you said, going to bed at the same time every single night. He recommends like covering your extremities when you're sleeping, which, you know, like socks on when you're sleeping, things like that, which not everybody obviously is going to do everything, right? But the
mittens.
technically speaking, I believe, but like not, he's not. But he's not.
Man put mittens on.
But he's not. He's not saying it in a way of like things that people won't actually do. But he's saying if you want, coming at it from a scientific approach. And then he was talking about going to bed at like a much lower temperature, especially if you eat like a heavy meal and you're burning more protein overnight. Things like that, white noise machine, all these different things. I started implementing all of these into my life. And it was like the next trip I went back to Michigan and doing all these photo shoots, night and day difference, like absolute night and day difference. I never had a lack of creativity. I never had a lack of being able to converse with the people. I never got tired. I never got exhausted, anything like that.
I need that.
Sleep changed my life.
I need that.
Why don't you sleep?
Sleep so poorly.
Well, because she's like solving the world.
Is that like, or is it just a matter of schedule?
It's a matter of time, schedule. I will read at night on my phone because I have that Kindle app and I just don't buy actual physical books. So blue light's an issue probably. I eat really late. I drink coffee until 6 p.m.
Yeah,
Could we change that?
That's no bueno right there.
Could that be step one?
I know that is the thing I need to change, but I can't. I get so exhausted. I'm addicted to it for sure. Like I need caffeine. I need to lower I had 3 coffees today.
Have you ever tried yerba mate tea?
Oh,
yes, I have.
Like pure leaf, not like the
no.
not like the canned shit.
Only the can.
Oh no, screw the cans.
The stuff he has changed my life.
Yeah.
You don't drink coffee at all?
No, I do. I love
all
coffee.
day long.
But whoa, let's not get crazy. Let's not go crazy. When I need to be locked the fuck in, yerba mate tea and well, like I have the tea bags over there and like brew tea, whatever. Like you are
electric
dialed after you consume that.
Okay, I need that.
Yeah, I need to like start selling it or something.
You should have like an Amazon link or something. You should be making money off of it.
I got to become like the new age Brian Johnson, even though he's kind of the new age Brian Johnson. But
like Mary Kay, but for tea.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Brian Johnson? Do you know who he is, Anna?
No idea. I only know like 3 different people in the medical world.
Brian Johnson is trying to solve like. Do you know who I'm talking about too?
Oh my god, that's the biohack guy.
Yes.
Okay, yes. He's the reason I've got that biome thing because I was like. So intrigued by all of the work that he's doing, that he's publishing online. You can see his whole protocol. It's actually insane.
I met him in Singapore. He was walking through the mall.
What was he like in person?
Like very nice, like
normal,
surprisingly very normal. But he was literally walking through the mall. It was very quick interaction. He was heading somewhere, but I was just like, dude, I'm a fan of yours. Like, I think he's brilliant.
How old was he looking that day?
I'm gonna be honest. I was Singapore, a lot of drinking on my end over there. So
he was looking pretty good.
Might have not been.
Everything was looking much better than I was looking at the time.
Someone else.
Yeah, no, it was definitely him. But yeah, and then he was just in LA.
Yeah, he had a convention.
Yeah.
I like almost. I'm just so intrigued by everything that he's doing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe that he should be doing it he's taking quality of life. It goes back to quality of life. His quality of life is poor because he's spending all of his time doing all of these things. But the science is so interesting. Yeah.
No, he fascinates me, but I'm very curious how it plays out.
Yeah, me too. Doesn't he thinks he's going to live to like 200.
Maybe he will.
I don't know if I want to live till 200. 200's old.
As long as I can walk, talk, good quality of life, I would live to 200.
I feel like quality of life is kind of subjective. Like the older I get, when I feel like we project what we think is a quality life on everybody else, where this man is living optimally. Like maybe he's doing it better. Like maybe he's feeling fulfilled because he doesn't feel fulfilled by the things that like we would, like a social life or, good.
No, but,
you know what I mean?
but he goes to like concerts and shit. Like that's the thing. It's like
he has a good quality life.
Like he talked about how, because he was at this like music festival and people were like, well, wait, like how do you? Because he was at like a show until like 4:00 in the morning, and people were like, well, wait, how does that go in hand with like what you're talking about?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, because he. Like then he gave his like sleep schedule before that. He's like, I went to bed at like 8 p.m., woke up at whatever it was, like 2 a.m., then went to this, was left at this point, went back to bed until this period, and then I did this, and this to like rejuvenate afterwards. I don't know. It's just like everything is so interesting to me.
Yeah, he plans ahead. And that's a good point. He does. I watched did you watch the Netflix docu?
Not yet. I need to. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was interesting. And they acknowledge that he's probably not having a great quality of life. And then he addresses it and he's like, actually, I love everything that I'm doing. I have a great time. Mm-hmm. for me, yeah, it's all personal, I guess, because I wouldn't want to stop eating at like, I don't remember what time he stops eating. I think it was like 3 p.m. or 1 p.m. or something. Like, I want to keep eating during the day, and he stops. And also he eats like the same thing, like it's like broccoli and chicken, and I just, food is so important to me now. Like, that goes hand in hand with having a good quality of life for me. But yeah, it could be totally different for him. So I want to know what he ends up doing. I'm following the story.
We won't be alive to find out what happens.
We won't.
Well,
we won't know.
I'm hoping we're still alive to figure out what happens.
Well, maybe he's 200.
Well,
we're
if
not
he goes,
live to then.
Yeah, but if he, okay.
We're not biohacking.
Well, he's already old. He's already like what?
Yeah, I was going to say he's already much older than us. So maybe we figure it out. Like,
yeah, that's true. Okay.
Who knows? We might get a push notification on our phone. It's like, oh shit, did not work.
Stock goes down.
Sorry, got to make a joke.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood.
Okay, I feel like I hear the word microplastics every single day. That's like the hot term.
Do I have
right
microplastics in my balls? Tell me.
Yes, everybody does, right?
Yeah,
well, except for me.
You have balls?
No, I don't, girl. And I'm not the only one. You get what I'm saying? Everyone that has balls has microplastics in them.
Is that true?
I don't know if they're in your actual balls, but like they're in your blood. So
I guess that's.
So yeah, they're in your balls. Yeah, they're everywhere. Yeah.
What are they? And like, should we care? Like, should we be scared?
Like, we don't really know. We don't really know the effects of microplastic yet. We know we all have it in our bodies. It's everywhere. But because we're just now finding out that we all have it in our bodies, the studies are just now starting to happen to see, what those effects are or will be. And I'm curious how long we've actually had microplastics in all of us, because we just found this information out now doesn't mean it had just started. It just happened. This has probably been something that's happened and maybe contributed to adverse health effects already that we're just not even aware of.
Do you get frustrated because, okay, we were talking about this before the podcast, and I was like, the medical world is so interesting to me because what we know today could be drastically different what we know Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
And like everything changes so quickly, and people in society get so frustrated when it's like, oh, well, I've been told this my entire life, and now all of a sudden new research comes out and says, nope, that's actually not the case, right?
Yeah.
And so do you get frustrated by, because I think then people hear that, right? And they now are like, well, I don't trust X, Y, and Z because you were telling me this, and now you're telling me this. And it's like, well, yeah, we learn more shit. So like once you learn more things, you then change, previous, instruction or previous, belief changes because you have more knowledge, right? Yeah. So do you get frustrated by kind of the lack of trust, I guess, at times with like the medical field because medical opinion can change and evolve?
Yeah, no, that's definitely frustrating. I don't think you should be distrusting of a system that's being open about scientific progression. I think
that's a bar.
That's a great line. Wow.
Yeah.
I think it should, if anything, make you trust it more because we're being open and honest about what is being improved. I mean, at one point in time, cigarettes were advertised as healthy, and now we see they're causing, they're carcinogenic. They're class 1. They're going to give you cancer. So it's frustrating when people dismiss science in general just because there has been advancements made or changes made due to the progression of science. I think everyone should be open-minded.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's fair.
That was beautiful.
What do you think about people like vaping and shit?
Vaping. Don't vape, guys. Please don't vape. Nobody vape. It's so bad. You guys vape?
No.
I've never vaped.
Yeah.
I will never.
I always
it scares me.
Okay.
I smiled and you thought I was going to say I vape, right?
Yeah, you look like you were. Yeah.
Does Mark look
guilty.
like a vapor?
I cannot tell who's a vapor these days anymore.
It's shocking.
It's everybody. And
if their birth year starts in 2000, then
yeah.
No, I've seen like school teachers.
True.
Vape.
Yeah. I will go to my friend's house and I will hide her vape every single time I go, and she always gets so mad. And I'm like, you shouldn't be doing this. Stop doing this. It's even worse than cigarettes. A lot of studies have shown that it's even worse than cigarettes. But don't do that either. Please don't do either of them.
Should we just do
Never
crack?
done either.
So we should do crack cocaine and meth. And
Yeah,
that's
go hard or go home.
Is that your medical opinion?
That is my medical opinion.
Someone's gonna bring up this podcast clip when you're like a famous scientist
I'm
someday.
just kidding. Don't cancel me.
You should do a segment called Sexy Science.
That is such a good idea.
Sorry, I'm doing just word vomit. Like,
well, first of all, we don't objectify our guests, Anna. So
I do. I'm thinking business. If I were as hot as you and as smart as you, I would be doing a segment called Sexy Science, and I would take over the world.
Brilliant, so brilliant. If
just
I had
think
the
about
time, I'll consider it.
Think about it.
Can you be a part of it?
Oh my God, I would love to be there. You could do experiments on me. That would go viral.
But weirdos would be
not
watching.
even weirdos.
Put that behind a paywall.
Aren't we all? I know,
guys. $1 million idea.
No, 100%. But if I like OnlyFans,
it's not only science. Only science. Bars.
Ooh, okay. We'll brainstorm later.
Brilliant.
We'll brainstorm later for sure. I think that's actually a brilliant idea.
Isn't that? Wait. My lack of knowledge is this is how dumb I am. Isn't Johns Hopkins the school they reference in? Is it in? They're like Sloan Kettering and Johns Hopkins. I smoked weed with Sloan Kettering. What movie is that?
No idea.
You don't know what I'm talking about?
I smoked weed
with Sloan Kettering. Search that. Do they mention Johns Hopkins right before that?
I smoked weed with John Hopkins. Johnny Hopkins.
Wait, what's that from though?
That's from
Step Brothers.
Step Brothers.
Yeah.
Oh my
I smoked
God.
pot with Johnny Hopkins.
Yeah. Oh, that's literally my knowledge of that. And so when I was younger, I was like once it was explained to me, like Johns Hopkins is one of the like most prestigious schools in America, and then that was my knowledge of it. And then to be fair, fast forward however many years, I come across your Instagram and I'm like, oh shit, she studied at Johns Hopkins. She must be brilliant. And obviously you are, but like that was my knowledge of Johns Hopkins. Yeah.
Before that.
The plural on the John is hard.
She's going to
John, I know. People always get it.
Yeah, we got it.
Why?
Yeah.
John Hopkins, like Johns Hopkins.
Johns Hopkins. Yeah,
It's
they
not
want to
right.
make it difficult for people.
7% acceptance rate.
Wow.
Whoa.
Do you
Holy
look at people
moly.
often and you're just like, you're dumber than me?
Never.
No, I'm kidding.
Never. I mean, no, never.
Did you just hear how she started the podcast? She's like, I'm not smart. You think she's looking around feeling better than other people?
Yeah, but she wanted to. She was doing that for us.
Oh, she baiting?
Yeah, she's doing that for us.
No,
She's like,
I was not.
she's looking at the two of us. She's like, combined IQ 25.
No, you guys, I took an IQ test because this is how petty I am. So I was dating this guy who was just this dumb hot football player, and he would always say how much smarter he was than I was. And I was like, automatically, if a person is saying that they're more intelligent than their partner, they're probably dumb. So I was like, all right, let's do it. So we both took an IQ test, and his was like a good 40 points lower than mine. And I have never felt more superior than anybody in my life.
Damn, his was only 20.
Oh, that was so quick.
I'm gonna be honest.
Your IQ is at least 100.
I don't. To be honest, I don't even remember what's good. Like
I don't either.
It doesn't matter what's good or not. The point is that mine was better than a dumbass that thought he was smarter than me.
I hate that he even was saying
that's
that.
the men
to
I
you.
dated. How is dating?
I actually have a boyfriend.
Oh, you do? Okay.
We've been together since my freshman year of college, so that's almost 8 years now.
Oh wow!
Whoa.
Is he like a Nobel Peace Prize winner or something?
No.
Yeah, what does he do?
He went to Cornell, though.
Oh my God!
So yes, he will be one day.
We met in Ithaca.
You guys are my goals.
I know, smart bitches.
Bumble.
Wow.
I love Bumble. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, not anymore.
Well,
She's like, no, currently.
I'm not currently on it, but I am an advocate. I think it works. Yeah, he's a developer for Workday. He does coding for Workday.
Oh my God, you two. Procreate, make the world a better place.
Honestly, I hope to God you guys have 100 kids. Because, like, there's so many times where I meet people and I'm like, God, you are so stupid, and I hope you never have kids. I don't say this out loud, but in my head, I'm just like, God, I really hope you don't procreate because, like, we don't need you to, but we need you guys to. Like, we need you guys to have so many kids. Like, just pop them out.
That's the plan. I mean, once I graduate and once I get engaged.
Yeah.
So he's the one?
Yeah, he's definitely the one.
Oh my God, I love that.
Him.
I love that he's been through so many chapters of your life.
Oh my gosh, he laid on the floor of my parents' room when my dad was like dying. It was like, we are ride or die at this point.
Oh, my
I
heart.
know.
Oh, yeah. That's, I mean, so do you guys just have like intelligent conversations like all the time?
No,
or like
we're like having stupid fun conversations all the time.
Because you need like a break from just.
I need to be dumb on my off times.
That's
I
fair.
need to be like like I don't want to think.
He knows you get it, so that's nice.
Yeah.
Is he in crypto?
I think he is. Yeah.
I'll
connect.
He's a
I'll
coder.
connect you
He's a
guys.
coder, my guy.
Yeah, put him in a group chat.
My guy, yeah.
Yeah, don't talk about it on our time.
Does he live in LA?
He lives in my apartment like 95% of the time. Then he goes back to, he's from Long Island, so he goes back to Long Island.
Can we all hang out soon?
Yeah, we can all hang out.
Fair.
You guys would love him.
Fair.
He's the best.
They'll probably be butt buddies.
Yeah.
You actually would be buddies. You guys would be besties.
I'm nerdy in my own way.
In your own way? Just generalized. You could have just stopped it at I'm nerdy.
Well, because I'm nerdy about a lot. I don't know. I always like to say.
You're cool, nerdy.
I try to have like a rudimentary. Wait, am I saying that right? Fuck.
Rudimentary, yeah.
Yeah, that's a word.
Understanding of like a lot of different subjects. I'm not an expert on anything, but like know a good amount about a lot of different shit, and then rely on the experts to like really teach me more. But like I try to like have a solid understanding of a lot of things. I'm a curious human, but like not on your level. Like again, half the words you said to us, I was like.
That's only because I've invested so much time reading and on those topics that are really boring to read about. But you have the power to do that reading and get knowledge on those exact topics.
I've spent a lot of that time trying to figure out how to break the cover 2 defense if you have
Oh my God.
Yeah, see, though? Like that passion you have for football
if
and
you
crypto,
invested that anywhere else, like you could be just as
I'm trying
successful as her.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get
I didn't want to say
I'm trying to get the Detroit Lions a Super Bowl.
Okay.
That's
Are you telling them any of this info, or are you just doing sort of telepathic
preliminary
telekinesis?
research right now? We're trying to figure it out, but we're making progress.
Who's the we?
The boys and I.
The boys.
Who are the boys? All the voices in your head?
No, the Detroit.
Just you and all the voices.
Listen.
All my boys.
We all got voices.
Detroit Lions and I, okay? Listen, okay? Relax over there, Anna.
No, I love your love for them. It's nice.
I feel like we're going to have to do more podcast episodes. We're already like an hour and 10 into this.
I want a part 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. As we've said, time is... I mean, you actually articulated it much better than I did earlier, so I'm not even going to try to articulate it the way you did. But yeah, time is time.
Time is a thing that goes by, as they say. It passes.
And thank you guys for having me.
Your boyfriend's going to listen to this like, these fucking idiots.
It's like, you said we'd be besties? Ouch.
Yeah. That causes the breakup after 8 years.
It's like, damn, I draw the line.
Yeah, damn.
No, I've absolutely loved getting to know you a little bit, and I would love to hang out with you. 1, and 2, we need to have you back on the podcast.
Please, yeah, you guys are the best.
Yeah, and I told her, I was like, dude, we got to get, because she's big into fitness and whatnot. I was like, dude, we got to.
Oh, yeah.
I actually didn't give you much of a background on myself. I just randomly said to her, like, you need to get into fitness modeling. Like, because she was posting all these fitness posts, and then I was like, yeah, dude, like, for sure.
Oh, you 100% should.
Yeah. I know you have so much time on your plate. You have so much time on your plate. So.
But it's so fun to like exercise different parts of yourself.
Yeah, no,
but
so
you know
important.
I mean.
Yeah, no, I'm like trying to like find a balance between being a creative and being a scientist, and like fitness is important. People are so dynamic,
multifaceted. Lean into it.
Do you have any like overall, I guess, like, I don't know, like words you live by, or like, I don't know, some way that you like attack every day?
A motto.
Yeah, a motto or some sort. Yeah.
Yes, I say this every time I'm in my yoga class, and they're like, think of something you want to say to yourself that will resonate with you for the rest of the day. And I always repeat, you are capable. You are capable. You are capable. And I just repeat that over and over again until she tells us to stop, and then we go into our flow.
And you approach it every day with that?
Every single day.
I love that.
I love that. That's
a bar. You're capable, baby.
You are capable. And Detroit Lions are capable of breaking cover 2 defense. You're capable of winning the Super Bowl, okay? Live on the pod. And
you heard it here.
It's crazy. I text her next week. There's just no response. Oh, she must have got a new number.
You are capable.
There we go. Well, hey, we are capable. You all are capable of pressing the subscribe, download, and like button on the podcast. And read the book Why We Sleep. And you have microplastics in your balls, and we'll figure out what's happening with that soon.
All right. Love you guys.
See you guys.
Bye.